In this session, we will be learning about gauge used in automobiles. At the end of this session, you will be able to know the location of various gauges in a vehicle, purpose and working of a fuel, temperature and an oil pressure gauge.
The gauges indicate to the driver the working of the particular system to which they are connected. These gauges are located on the dashboard of the vehicle. Some of the electrically operated gauges are the following: fuel gauge, balancing coil type; temperature gauge, balancing coil type; oil pressure gauge, balancing coil type. Fuel gauge is used to know the quantity of fuel available in the fuel tank. It consists of a tank unit and the indicator unit. The two units are connected in series by a single wire to the battery through the ignition switch. When the ignition switch is turned on, current passes through both the units. The tank unit is fitted on the fuel tank and the indicator unit on the dashboard. The tank unit consists of a hinged arm with a float fitted at one end and a sliding contact at the other end, and also a variable resistance. The sliding contact moves along the resistance. The float arm moves up and down as the level of fuel in the tank changes. The movement of the float arm changes the electrical resistance in the circuit. Gauge unit is fitted on the panel board. Two terminals are connected to the tank unit's terminal and ignition switch respectively. It consists of two coils and a pointer with the magnet attached to it. Let us see how the fuel gauge works. When the ignition switch is on, current from the battery flows to the coils and a magnetic field is produced. When the tank is full, the float raises above and moves the sliding contact to the high resistance position on the resistance coil. The current flowing through the coil also flows through the coil. The magnetism of the coil becomes weaker. The magnetism of the coil then becomes stronger and pulls the armature and the pointer to the full side of the dial. When the fuel level comes down, the float in the tank falls down and resistance also becomes less, thereby strengthening the magnetic field around coil and forcing the armature and pointer towards the empty side of the dial. Temperature gauge is used to know the temperature of water in the cooling system of engine at all times. It cautions the driver against overheating of the engine. It consists of an engine unit immersed in the engine coolant in the cylinder head or cylinder block in the form of a pellet. It is made of special material whose electrical resistance increases when temperature is lowered and it reduces when the temperature is increased. The resistance unit is provided with the dash unit and it is fitted on the panel board. The dash unit consists of a dial pointer, a magnet and coil. The two terminals of gauge are connected to the ignition switch and the engine unit. The operating current is supplied from the battery through the ignition switch. When the coolant temperature rises, the engine unit becomes hot. When the engine unit temperature is high, the resistance is less and more current passes to the right coil of the indicating units. The difference in the strength of the magnetic field between the two coils increases and the armature and pointer move towards the right to indicate a high temperature. When the engine coolant temperature falls down, the resistance becomes high. This results in less current flowing through the left coil and the magnetic field becomes less and causes the armature and pointer to move towards the left to indicate lower temperature. Oil pressure gauge is used to know the pressure of lubricating oil during the working of the engine and serves as a warning signal to the driver against any sudden failure of the lubrication system. Two types of oil pressure gauges are available. They are Bourdon tube type gauge, non-electric, and balancing coil type, electric. The Bourdon tube gauge is not widely used nowadays as it has certain drawbacks, that is, the connecting tube leaks at joints. In modern vehicles, balancing coil type, electric oil pressure gauges are used. Oil pressure gauge consists of two units, engine and dash unit. The engine unit consists of a diaphragm, sliding contact, variable resistance. The dash unit consists of two coils and a pointer with a magnet attached to it. Both coils are connected in series with battery through ignition switch. The increase in oil pressure pushes the diaphragm outward. This action results in increase in the resistance at the engine unit. The right-hand coil of the dash unit becomes magnetically stronger than the left-hand coil. Consequently, the armature and the pointer swing towards the right side and indicate higher oil pressure. Insert the key in the main switch and turn the key to the on position. Observe the fuel gauge reading. It shows empty to full. Observe the temperature gauge reading. It shows minimum temperatures. Observe the oil pressure gauge. Observe the water temperature in temperature gauge.
We have reached the end of this session on gauges used in automobiles. By now, you should be able to know the location of various gauges in a vehicle, purpose and working of a fuel, temperature, and an oil pressure gauge.